Listen well, brother.
I'm listening.
Loki, what an amazing character he is. He appeared in many Marvel movies since the first Thor. I've always seen him like a side character, cause he was for the most part. And that's not an awful thing, don't get me wrong. However, I think all of his potential as a complex character was a little covered by the main ones like Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, etc. I can't believe that we finally had a series dedicated to him. And I gotta say, I loved the Loki series. There are a lot of things that I want to say, however, I will do my best to keep it nice and tidy. It was interesting from the beginning of the first episode, and as it went on, it got more and more interesting, mind bending, and emotionally investing. It is clear that here we have a different Loki, still the same one, but more vulnerable, more uncertain about himself and others around him. Loki, the god of mischief, suddenly he was brought down to earth like a regular human being. If you think about it, it was a risk, but thank God Marvel took it. First of all, the cast was great. Tom Hiddleston, charming as always, of course. However, in this show, he brought more emotion and heartfelt personification in order to balance the inevitable sarcasm and playfulness that we love so much in Loki. Owen Wilson. Wow, I should say.
Wow.
You just can't hate this guy. As Mobius, he was incredible. He has that investigative note which the series portrays beautifully throughout the 6 episodes. By far, one of the most important influences in Loki's life, as he becomes the first real friend for the god of outcasts, as you may call him. Sofia Di Martino plays Sylvie, one of the most important characters of this particular series. Not only she is the first love interest of Loki, which is kind of weird actually because they are the same person, but she is a determining piece of the future that is in front of the MCU. Next we have Jonathan Majors. Now, I will be honest, I didn't know this guy until now, but I have to say, those 15 minutes that he played Kang the Conqueror were infectious. You can see that he had a lot of fun playing that character, and you can feel it. The story was set in a coherent way in my opinion. Keep in mind that time travel or multiverse theories are never easy to portray. I have to say though, that Marvel pushed the boundaries to a level that is understandable and relatable to the MCU context. We take off by 2012 in the Battle of New York, where the first Avengers takes place, just when the Avengers of Endgame went back in time to find the Infinity Stones. We know from Endgame that Loki makes it out along with the Tesseract. From there, he causes a so-called Nexus event, which essentially is something that it was not supposed to happen because it may lead to the destruction of the sacred timeline, hence the birth of the multiverse. The individuals that cause these events are known as variants, so Loki now is a variant by that theory, only he doesn't know that yet. He is found and captured by the TVA agents, which is an agency created by the so-called timekeepers to keep the flow of time intact, in other words, capture variants and reset them. Of course, he is confused by all this, the TVA as a concept, as a place, their bureaucracies and the lack of information that they are giving to him. First, in the courtroom, Loki is introduced to the purpose of the TVA, explained by a clock character known as Miss Minutes, who explains the multiverse and all of that stuff. Then we are introduced to Renslayer, a headliner of the TVA, which is known by the comics as Kang's love interest. Right when she decides to prune Loki, which means basically to send him in a place where variants are killed, Mobius shows up. He wants to take Loki and use him to find another dangerous variant, which soon enough we find out that it's another Loki that goes by the name Sylvie. He starts to do the classic interrogative talk. He starts by poking Loki in his soft spots, such as family, especially his mother, or the glorious purpose that he had for himself. Leading with the latter, Mobius basically threw in the trash can all the beliefs that Loki had up to that point. Loki was convinced that by taking people's freedom and free will is better for them because there is no temptation without choices. However, it's kind of ironic if you think about it. Loki's purpose was the same as the TVA's, only he didn't agree with them taking his freedom. Loki stated that he made his own choices and paved his own path. Now we see a human Loki, one that feels threatened about his own freedom and is right to make decisions. Here we go deeper than a simple superhero movie. Here we experience people, their rights, their desires and dreams, all stripped away by some being that we don't even know the real identity to. This threw him in a pile of confusion and questions, which made him agree to cooperate with Mobius in capturing the variant Sylvie. After some investigation went south, Loki figured out that the variant they were looking for was hiding in Apocalypses, because there, variant energy can't be detected. They filter all the possible apocalypses where she could be hiding, and they find the place. Alabama in the 2050. Here Loki confronts Sylvie, who doesn't give much in terms of information or purpose. Then she managed to escape using a tempad, which is basically a device that opens a time-space bridge, and get to the TVA. Loki at first, not sure, but full of questions, follows Sylvie, also escaping from Mobius who was running towards him. After some fight scenes happen, Sylvie and Loki end up in Lamentis by pressing the tempad by accident, which is the worst of all apocalypses, because the moon of that planet explodes, leading to global extinction. The problem is that the tempad is out of juice, so they can't open a portal to escape. In other words, they are seriously fucked. Of course, they continue to argue and fight, Sylvie because she was interrupted from her mission, whatever that was, and Loki who is in search for answers. However, they need to cooperate in order to survive in this situation. Then they try to infiltrate in a train in order to charge the tempad from a powerful source, in this case the Ark, which is the destination of the train. Basically, it's going to get a small amount of people out of the planet before it gets crumbled, mainly wealthy people. We know, however, by Sylvie, who has traveled through time, that the Ark never leaves the planet. It gets destroyed. They talk about their past, their family, a potential significant other to return to. Without getting in too much detail, we grasp a little spark of chemistry between the two, which grows exponentially. However, Loki starts drinking and singing, maybe too much, considering that they need to lay low. Eventually, they get uncovered and start a fight with the guards, which leads them out of the train through a broken window. The tempad was out of battery. Well, now it's completely destroyed by the fall. Sylvie suddenly starts screaming from frustration, and then she sits in a rock, devastated. They are doomed, along with the planet now. She felt like she had no more purpose, so she started to open up with Loki. He listens, he understands her feelings, her background. He reads her only by seeing her expressions. I felt that, a lot, and my god, I smiled the whole time like a bloody idiot. It was contagious, I'm telling you. You can tell that's great writing. Loki then suggests to take over the Ark and escape the planet using that. They go with that as their final resource. Well, it went to shit. The Ark gets destroyed by a meteor before them even going near it. Now they are basically waiting for death to take them. Then it happens. The Nexus event that changed everything. They had a moment together where they saw into each other's eyes and they felt love for the first time. That is heartfelt, but it also shows the amount of narcissism that the Loki character has. Anyway, this causes the timeline to branch, hence causing variance energy, hence causing their exposure to the TVA, which arrives and captures them. However, just before they get caught, Sylvie reveals something to Loki. Something crucial. The members of the TVA are not created by the Timekeepers. They are all variants, taken by their own realities with no memories of their past life. They are basically puppets. This shocks Loki. Shit, this shocked me. He didn't know what to do at the spot. The first thing that he had in mind was telling the truth to his only friend, Mobius. Unfortunately, he doesn't believe him and he puts him in a time loop prison where he gets the shit kicked out of by Sif over and over and over again. Mobius, however, gets suspicious by this statement. Back in Alabama, a TVA agent known as C-20 went insane, apparently, after she was mind-controlled by Sylvie. The truth is that she was just fine. All Sylvie did was showing C-20 the truth for her life, who she was, how happy she was, and how the TVA took it away from her. Apparently, she testified all this truth on tape. After this, Renslayer pruned her to keep the truth buried, but we find this out only after Mobius gets so suspicious that steals Rinslayer's tempad and finds the video. Then he releases Loki and believes him. Rinslayer shows up right after she found out that her tempad was missing. Then she does it. She prunes Mobius. God, you bitch. Of course, Loki gets emotional as he sees his only friend disappearing. Rinslayer then leads Loki and Sylvie, guess what, to the Time Keepers. Finally, we get to find out who they are, or so we think. Of course, a fight starts. Sylvie reaches her purpose eventually. She fucking decapitates one of the Timekeepers, only to find out that they are mindless androids. Another dead end for them. Then, in despair, right when Loki is about to confess his love for Sylvie, he gets pruned by Rinslayer. I felt like I was stabbed in my heart. Jesus, let that guy have a happy moment. Anyway, Sylvie disarms Rinslayer and demands the absolute truth from her. Guess what? Rin fucking Slayer doesn't know the whole truth. She is also a puppet, and the sad part is that she accepts it, with the excuse that maybe it's a necessary lie for a greater good. Okay, I guess. Then we get to another location, where Loki is, and hopefully Mobius too. Loki bumps to 4 other Loki variants. Which one of them is an alligator? How cool is that? Anyway, they explain to him that this place is basically the trash dumpster for the TVA, called the Void. So, the variants that they prune, they end up in the Void. But it doesn't end here. There is a creature called a Lyoth, whose job is to consume variant matter. He's like an angry cloud basically. Where does this matter go? Nobody knows, cause it's the end of time in that place. Then, the 4 variants of Loki share their experiences with Tom Hiddleston Loki, their years in this forgotten place, and their lack of purpose. Loki doesn't take this, cause he's a changed man. It's the first time that we see a determined Loki, full of hope and desire to do the right thing. He decides to take down a Lyoth fueled by the belief that after that monster stands the truth, the answer for all his questions, the answer behind the TVA, who is the real puppet master. Back to the TVA, we have Sylvie with Rinslayer. They are cooperating, so to speak. Rinslayer buys time with pretty words, which Sylvie doesn't fall for, of course. Rinslayer eventually calls her TVA agents to prune Sylvie. There is no need, however, because she prunes herself. We are to the Void. Sylvie is followed and almost swallowed by Lyoth, but something happens suddenly. She has a quick split-second connection with it where she sees a cathedral. She escapes after that and she bumps into Mobius in a small car. They escape together and have a little moment. After all, Mobius hunted Sylvie her entire life, knowing he was doing the right thing. Anyway, Sylvie believes that the answer stands after a Lyoth, just as Loki previously stated. So she tells Mobius to turn around and go back to the creature. Fate wanted Sylvie and Mobius to reunite them with Loki, because he was there too. After Sylvie takes Loki's plan to kill a Lyoth as a joke, she decides to enchant it. They agree to this plan. Mobius, after a chat with the 4 Loki variants, decides to go back to the TVA and confront Rinslayer. He has a final moment with Loki. He reaches his hand to his friend. Loki then hugs him. F***ing hugs him. I almost tear up, I swear. Then Mobius goes. We have Loki and Sylvie left to deal with the Lyoth. They need a distraction though, in order for Sylvie to enchant it, so Loki attracts it using fire with his magic. However, they need a bigger distraction, a bigger prey. Then, one of the Loki variants, the old Loki, decides to help. He uses his powerful magic to create the biggest illusion of his life, an entire Asgard. Of course, the CGI work is amazing, you can't beat Marvel in that. He manages to attract the monster and he dies by being swallowed by its darkness. He dies, not as a man without purpose and full of regrets, but he dies as a hero. He fulfilled his glorious purpose. He faced death with a big laugh. Great moment this one. Loki then, encouraged by Sylvie, helps her in enchanting a Lyoth. They eventually succeed, right before they are consumed by it. They open their eyes. They are there, in the end of time, facing the cathedral that Sylvie saw previously. We are in the final episode, where all is supposed to end. They enter in the cathedral and we can see that it's surrounded by a big circle which is supposedly the sacred timeline, the flow of time that is being protected by whoever is hiding in there. They eventually enter. Then it pops up. Holy shit, that was creepy. Fucking missed minutes. I knew from the beginning that there was something sketchy behind that thing. She introduces an offer for our two Lokis in the name of He Who Remains. They will have anything, everything they want in exchange of leaving this matter alone. They of course refuse, because they want the truth. Miss Minutes disappears. And then he comes in the scene. Kang the Conqueror, aka He Who Remains. He is super chill the whole time, because he knows everything, he controls everything. He explains to Loki and Sylvie the purpose behind the TVA. He was basically a man, a scientist, who originally lived in the 31st century of Earth. He studied the multiverse, eventually proving its existence. He explored it, studied it further, managed to navigate through it, leading to the meeting with his own variants. They shared technologies, knowledge, and ideas. It was cool at first and interesting. However, people will always have the need to conquer, to dominate and expand. They are greedy and in search for power. So, a multiversal war started between realities. You can imagine the mess. So, what did our Kang do? He perfected the technology of multiversal navigation and figured how to wipe out all realities and merge them into one and only perfectly flowing timeline, aka the sacred timeline. So he created the Time Variance Authority, aka the TVA, to manage and protect the flow of time by variants who risk the birth of another multiversal war if their Nexus events manage to cross the safe boundary of the red line. Kang then reveals that all actions taken by Loki and Sylvie are part of his carefully designed plan leading to free will as a non-existing concept. Loki and Sylvie are shocked. They are basically puppets by this logic. Kang then reveals his final intent, which is to pass his job, his purpose to keep the flow of time intact, to Loki and Sylvie. Why would you give this up? Says Loki. Kang points out a valid point, which is the fact that he is tired. I mean, he did this shit probably for uncountable years. So there's truth to that. So there are two options basically. They kill Kang, interrupt the proper flow of time by causing it to branch into multiple realities, leading into another fucked up war between universes, or they replace Kang as a timekeeper and protect the sacred timeline by taking people's free will. How the fuck should you choose in this case? It's shit left, shit right. However, here we have a conflict between the two. Sylvie doesn't change her mindset. She still wants free will to exist. She still wants to free people. Loki, however, is skeptical. What if Kang is right? What if this is a necessary thing to do? What if he is not the real villain? After some disagreement, they have a fight in front of Kang. It was sudden, but it felt right. Then they finally have their kiss. Holy shit, I giggled like a little girl during this scene, I swear to God. Then Sylvie opens a portal using Kang's tempad and pushes Loki through it, leading him back to the TVA. Desperation in his eyes. He knows what Sylvie is about to do. A big f***ing mistake, fueled by rage, resentment, and the need for revenge. She plants her blade in Kang's chest. Right after that, he winks at her, and he says, "I'll see you soon," and dies. Holy fucking shit. We see through the cathedral window that the timeline has branched into a pile of different universes. I know right then and there that this is it. This is the new Thanos level threat. We go back to the TVA and we see that all the computers and systems have gone to shit. Multiple branches have gone past the red line. We see Loki that runs towards Mobius and he explains him all what happened. And then what happens? Mobius doesn't recognize Loki. The multiverse mindfuck has already started. Loki is already in another universe, and we get confirmation of that when the camera pans to a single figure, a single big statue, Kang the Conqueror, which has replaced the three original statues of the fake timekeepers. One word: goosebumps. The shot goes along with a chilling soundtrack and then goes to black. The end. Holy shit, what a 6-episode ride. By far the best thing Marvel has done so far. I can't talk enough of it. I'm sorry if it got a little too confusing, I did my best to sum this roller coaster up. I can't wait to see where this is going, cause we have another season down the line. We got the confirmation in the post-credits scene for the second season, so... Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video and this show as much as I did. Leave me your thoughts down in the comments if you agree with me or not. Also, leave me a like down below, it helps the channel grow. And of course, if you want to be a part of this community, you know what to do. Destroy that subscribe button. I'll see you again in another video.